Hello, I'm Elgato, and welcome back to episode 326 of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is a Let's Play where we're playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff, like the huge flatland over there. And in fact, in today's episode, I'm going to be doing a little bit of destruction before a little bit of building, because this is one of those rare episodes I get to do once every year, maybe year and a half or so, where I can collect all of the diamonds that I have been, finding, because I've been doing a lot of destruction down in the place, which means I've been silk touching up a lot of diamond ore. And again, it's really fun every now and then, just collect all the diamond ore at once and to mine it all in a very short amount of time with the, with the fortune-free pickaxe. The reason I do store them up in silk touch form is so I can get them all fortuned at one time, and it's a lot more satisfying to mine. I think we got 50 today because I've got one diamond ore here. I haven't silk touched because I've run out of pickaxe with silk touch, and I have at least 2 diamonds here. Again, it could be more than 2, but in my head I'm going to count it as 2, just because, it might be 8 diamonds down there, but I prefer not to mine around it. I'm going to keep this one a surprise. So we've got a minimum of 50 diamonds we're going to be mining in a very short space of time. I think it's going to be great fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Maybe you all are too. And yeah, the way we're going to do this is we're going to have like a big straight line of diamonds to connect the 2 up, so we can just kind of non-stop mine diamonds from one to the other, which will be pretty crazy. Also, we'll go like around this gap here, because I've been mining a lot of iron ore too, because I need a lot of iron. And basically, this destruction project down here is one of my favorites, because it gives me all these resources I need for the other things. And there we go now. Oh, well, that's not correct, but whatever, there we go. We got a lot of diamonds and a lot of space. Let's see how many diamonds we can get. Again, our average take is 2.5 diamonds per diamond ore, which means 125 diamonds is the average. If we do better than that, we do a lot better. That's really good. If we do worse than that, then the RNG's not on our side. But again, this is the one episode every 70 or 80 episodes that really determines everything. So let's go for it. How many do we get from our first diamond? Oh, I don't know how many diamonds I have because I've got 60 here. So I guess it's 60 now with 49 to go. And I didn't even realize, but I have a huge stack of diamonds on me at all time. Well, let's make that stack go bigger, shall we? So on this one, we got 3 diamonds. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good luck. In fact, let's keep, okay, so we've got 60. And then we got 124 as the expected result from the rest. So let's just go for that then, shall we? Let's just see what we have at the end. Let's see how lucky we can get. We're getting lots of ones here, but it's not making me happy. If you're curious, again, the number of diamonds you can get per diamond ore with fortune free is actually anywhere from 1 to 4. There's so much luck and random variance that, in fact, one of the guys, one of the long ago people I met who plays Minecraft was like, what are the benefits of console Minecraft? Is you can exit without saving each time you fortune mine something, and that's what some people just like to do. So, fun fact, if you want to get the most diamonds you can, that's the way to do it. And oh no, it was only 2 diamonds. There was no more diamonds around there. So that means from the total 120, what we should have got as 125 on average, we have 150, so the 128 plus 27 is 150, I don't know why my maths is going so bad there, but I guess that's 155, I think that's correct, which means we take away the 60, we got 95 out of, 125 we'd expect, which means we did a little bit worse than average actually, but we still got, oh no, yeah, we still got 1.9 diamonds on average, which is a lot more than the 1 you get if you use a regular pickaxe. So that's pretty good stuff. And in case you're curious, yeah, I have a spider spawner here that I want to use at some point, but I'm not sure how or why. But it's just something that I found while I was mining. In fact, I'm finding a lot of these around the place. I found a zombie one down there, and I think what would be really cool is if I could see all of them from each other, and I could have a skeleton spawner, a zombie spawner, and a spider spawner, all pretty close by, all farmed up. So that's something I'll probably end up doing while I mine this big location. And you're gonna probably spot some background gameplay of me mining down here because I'm doing it so much. I got really into mining for no reason again recently. Oh, well, I mean, there's probably some reason, but I got really into mining again recently, and it's just one of those little fun things in Minecraft. So now let's go up to the surface. Let's work on the oil rig some more, because that is the big thing we're doing. And yeah, today we got 97. Is that really correct? 97 diamonds, or is it 95 diamonds in? I don't know why 128 plus 27 is so hard for me to do on the spot. But yeah, 95 diamonds in less than a minute is pretty good stuff. But, maybe next time we do better. So in episode 400, we'll see if we can beat that. And for now, we have to now work out where we'll put all these diamonds. So I guess in there we'll put a whole stack. Oh, we've got 2 stacks in there, so we need to put one of these stacks somewhere else. For now, we'll just store a stack in here, and we'll move it to the other side of the world soon. So yeah, we got plenty of diamond now. If I wanted to wear full diamond armor, I could, but I'm much better wearing this personally, and I guess we'll go to sleep and go work on the oil rig some. So one of the things I wanted to actually mention, because in this Let's Play, it's not just about me mining diamonds, it's also about what I've been up to the past week and all this sort of thing. And unfortunately this video goes live. I've only just arrived back in the UK, so I'm actually recording this a little bit ahead of time, so that way I don't have to record this while I'm stressed, and I can tell you fun stories and enjoy it. Again, a big part of the Let's Play for me is enjoying telling you all the fun stories or whatever, just things I've been talking about, because again, it's one of the more enjoyable just opportunities to let loose and tell you what I've been thinking. Oh wait, I didn't grab any of the stone I need. very glad I realized that before I left. And one of the things I'm in Austria, or just flew home from Austria as this goes live, which is somewhere very snowy, I hope, and if it's not snowy, that sucks. But yeah, I really like mountains personally because, like, you go up there and you realize just how far away from, like, supply chains and stuff it is. So, like, finding some of the most basic stuff is next to impossible there, which is, that might sound like it's a downside, and maybe it is a huge downside secretly, but it's actually kind of cool. So yeah, well, that's it. Let's fly over there, and let me tell you about one of the things I realized recently, which is about my trip to LA. I know I take a lot of trips places. That's, you know, one of the things I enjoy in my life. Maybe you're aware of that by now, and if you're not, then that's why I do it all the time. But yeah, basically, so one of the things I realized recently, because someone said Skid Row, and I immediately think of a map in a game, Modern Warfare 2, one of my first games that got me back into, like, playing the console games after, like, years of, not years, like, a year of not playing games. So I play it because my 360 Red Ring of Death, and I couldn't get another one, so I was like, well, I guess I can't play games anymore. So, yeah, back when I did get back into it, I played Modern Warfare 2, and one of the maps in that game is called Skid Row. It's one of my favorite maps, but I never really knew what Skid Row actually meant. I just assumed it was, like, some maybe famous area in America, and maybe you don't know what Skid Row means either. Maybe you know it as the Modern Warfare 2 map too, but yeah, it was one of my favorite maps in that game, so, like, the term Skid Row was always, like, one I kept in my, my head or whatever, and, like, always knew about, but I never knew what exactly it meant. The reason I mentioned that is because I went to LA for Minecon 2016. That was over a year ago now, almost exactly a year ago now, and the reason I bring that up is because the thing about, being in LA is I stayed in one of the cheaper hotels I could find. Staying in LA seems to be, like, inordinately expensive, but I found, like, a random Japanese hotel. They had the magic Japanese toilet, which is the reason I have an electric toilet now. Fun fact. And basically, yeah, that's just, there we go, bringing it all back around to the toilet again. But no, basically I stayed in a little Japanese hotel, and it was a lot cheaper than any other hotel I'd actually stayed at. So anyway, the reason I bring this up is because when I heard Skid Row again, someone mentioned, like, oh yeah, it's like being in Skid Row. I was like, I'm just going to finally look up what Skid Row is so I can finally understand, one, the name of that Modern Warfare 2 map, but two, just you understand whatever it is, because I'm almost certain it's American culture. And what it's actually a place in LA, Skid Row is, a place which I looked up actually includes my hotel I stayed in, and it's the place in the US, in fact, it's the place in the world with the highest population density of homeless people. And it's in LA, of all places, the city where, like, that's known for, like, all these glamorous, like, it's known for this glamorous lifestyle where all these people move over there just so they can do stuff. It has the largest homeless population in the entire USA, and I believe also the world, which is nuts. And then I happened to stay there, and it made me realize that, like, when I was in LA for the only time in my life probably, when I was in LA, I spotted a lot of homeless people, and I was like, well, that's just America, right? Like, every time you go to, like, anywhere that's, like, a big city, you spot a lot of homeless people, but, like, literally everywhere. Like, I got off at my bus stop, there was a dude sleeping there was a dude sleeping in the park next to me, there was a dude sleeping on the street on the way to my hotel, and it suddenly clicked all in one moment of, like, wait a minute, I stayed in, like, I stayed in the place that had the highest homeless percent in the whole of the US, and that's why I thought there were so many homeless people in America. And it's just one of those things where you're like, it all makes sense now. It's sad, it's tragic, and, I wish that wasn't the case, but, sometimes I like these, like, again, calling it a beautiful click moment when it's like, oh, homeless people, it sounds negative, but really it was like one of these moments where it's like, everything all makes sense now, it all clicks. Honestly though, that click moment where, like, everything starts to make sense is probably one of the most beautiful, I think, feelings your, like, inquisitive mind can feel, right? Because most movies, movies with a twist, or detective movies, I watched Murder on the Orient Express recently, and it did a similar thing. I feel like there's like a whole genre of, like, human stuff that is just dedicated to recreating that feeling of, like, click, it all makes sense, because it's one of the most satisfying feelings in the world. And I had that when I realized that I actually stayed in a hotel in the largest homeless district of America. Why would you set up a hotel there? I still don't know to this day why that is a thing, but I got to use it was cheap, which is good, and I got to use one of those electric toilets for the first time, so it all works out just fine in the end. So there you go, there's my story about Skid Row. I realized, actually it was like a couple of weeks ago, but I forgot to mention it, and yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing about, like, The thing about like the homeless thing, like I'm not gonna go too far into it because everyone knows homeless people, I'm sure, but you only really spot them in cities, which is something interesting, right? Like, and you only spot them in cities where it's like warm enough to be on the outside outskirts. So like I've always wondered, for instance, or like haven't always wondered. I wondered this recently when I was in Iceland. But like the whole like where are the homeless people on like a cold city? Are they there or are they just not homeless people? And you get a whole bunch of questions, and I don't want to go into them now because like this is the Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. It's not the how the homeless issue in the world works, but it's just something interesting that I realized. So something interesting also that I was thinking about this past week is the idea of less choice in the world, because I feel like when I was younger and when people were younger than me, like one of the things that we're getting as the world gets older and older and older is we're getting more and more choices for pretty much everything, but mostly I'm thinking about media choices. So if you want to watch a movie, you can watch 1,000 movies right now if you want to. If you want to watch a TV show, you can watch 1,000 TV shows. I guarantee for most of you that's true. And if you want to play a game, which again was like historically the one where you couldn't do this, there is Xbox Games Pass, and it's something like, oh yeah, here's 1,000 games you can play anytime you want to. However, because that's more movies, more TV shows, more games than anyone is ever going to watch, I wonder if like it's actually a negative thing to have all of that choice. Because one of the big thing, like have you ever watched like a kid use a YouTube, for instance? It's like really frustrating to me. I don't know why. Like maybe this is just me being a broken person or something. But watching a kid use YouTube, they're just like, they like click a video, click another one. They have no attachment to anything. They're just clicking the things that make the colors come up on screen, and they enjoy playing around with stuff. They don't even know how it all works. They just know if they hit here, something happens. But the reason that really annoys me is because like I feel like you can't form a meaningful connection with like a game, for instance. Like there are so many games I loved my childhood that are objectively kind of bad, but I loved anyway because I played through them so much. And if everything becomes like, oh yeah, it has to interest you in the first 10 seconds or like first 5 minutes, otherwise it's not going to work, then I feel like there's almost something that you lose. And maybe this is one of those things where like in 100 years we just get used to that, or maybe it's one of these things where like I feel like everything becomes more temporary when you just accept that there's a billion more options. Like this is actually it's something I think about a lot, like because you get those with people a lot, because there's like there's dating sites or the less scrupulous dating sites, but there's all these ways you can get like a billion options for everything, and it just makes me wonder sometimes, like maybe in some ways options aren't always a good thing, or maybe your goal in life, or like one of the skills we'll have to learn is to like purposely limit your options, or like have your own artificial limiter, because like it's sometimes fun to be like, I'm gonna watch every movie from this director, or I'm gonna watch every movie with this actress in, and when you do that, you watch a lot of bad movies. I did this for I've mentioned this like long time back in the Update Adventures Let's Play, but I watched I think every movie from Ellen Page, because like just had a thing for her because of like Juno back when I was like 14 or 13 or something, and I was like, no, just watch every movie. Like she was good in that, she'll probably be good in all these other ones. And I watched this really strange one. It's called like Bad Candy. I don't even recall what it's about, but if you want to watch a questionable but kind of interesting movie, there you go. Movie recommendations with Toycat. But if I hadn't like given myself an artificial restraint, I'd probably just watch like the Avengers 16 or something, and I'd get I wouldn't get anything new and interesting in the experience. And interesting is what makes people different. Like if we all watch the same 100 movies, that's not interesting. But if we all watch different movies, then we can all talk about something. But anyway, or at least different types of movies as well as the ones we've all watched. Because it's always good when like when you know the same thing as someone else. But it's also good when you can be like, here's a cool recommendation. Like now, your pal Toycat on the internet has told you to go watch the most confusing movie ever. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to go work on this crane now because I'm running out of stone slowly. And I want to get some of the foundations laid on this because this is not a crane. This is just my basic where my crane is so far. So let's actually get this done. Let's make some wood. Let's make this platform much larger. So we'll go 4x4 and then we'll kind of square it off and then we'll do other stuff. But yeah, basically back on the whole thing of like, I feel like taking away your own choices in some way, and for some situations, is actually going to be a good thing, because it makes me think of like, the whole like idea of like living in a tiny town versus living in a big city. So just for clarification, I really like living in, like I live in like a town on the outskirts of a city, but my town is still bigger than most towns for most people in most countries. Just there you go, fun fact. But I've always thought it's interesting, like if you live in a town with a population of like 1,000 or 5,000 even, or even 10,000. Probably not 10,000, but like 5,000 or something, then the number of like, okay, so we have to, okay, these will be my pillars here, and then we'll make this wider, because I want to have like a gap between each of them. But if you live in a town of like 5,000 people, the number of other people you have to interact with of your age, at least. Like, I mean, there's 4,999 other people, but the number of people of your age you can interact with in your entire world is, you know, what, like 5,000, divide that by 80 years. On average, you're going to have like 50 people of your age. And, you know, like if you want to then go to your gender or the opposite gender, depending on like if you want friendship or like dating or whatever, then you can probably increase that up to. So now we've got this going. I guess we should probably like build up a little bit, and then we'll start going back into wood. And then I'm not sure where this is going, but let's just let's just believe, and then the rest can happen by itself. So we'll have this be there, and then we'll have like a crane starting to go off on this side. Yeah, let's do that. So we got some stairs. Let's do this. The crane will go over here, and then we'll look at it later, and if it's terrible, we'll burn it all down, or we'll leave it as a terrible crane, because it'll keep you there. But yeah, if you're in a tiny town, a population of 5,000, or a population of 1,000, because 5,000 would be 50 people, 1,000 would be like 10 people, then you have to like treat every one person, like, even if you really don't agree with someone, they're like the sorts of person you really don't want to get along with, you kind of have to, right? You have to learn to get along with them, and that's got to be a valuable skill that you don't get if you, because, you know, London, I live the way I live, there's a population in the urban area of like 9 million people, and all the nicest people I meet in London, even though London, it's my favorite city, I could go on about how much I love it all day, but whenever I meet someone, like a stranger, for instance, and you have to meet them and you talk to them, the people I always prefer, the people who don't come from London, they're the people who, like, you know, like actually came from outside and like are just there temporarily, or like just moved there. I feel like being in a place with too many people almost corrupts you in a way. In the same way that, like, one of my favorite ways to be antisocial, because, you know, like, sometimes you want to talk to people, sometimes you don't want to. So, for instance, on the London Underground, you never talk to anyone. And so being in a city in a way is the easiest way to be, to be by yourself. Like, when you're surrounded by so many other people, you're the most alone you can ever be. And it's interesting how that works, because one, that's an interesting contrast, right? But two, it also gives this kind of, like, next level, it's this next level thing of like, if that means that therefore the way to be the most like connected with people is to go somewhere where very few people live. And think about it this way: when you picture like, you know, country people, or again, this is just how I picture country people at least, like they always say hello to each other. Like when you meet someone, you go, oh hi, and sometimes you'll stop and just talk about your day. If you're in the countryside, people are way more likely to just take an hour out of their day and just help you if you run into some problems. And that's the sort of stuff that you get because when there's less people around, each of those people has a slightly more meaningful connection. And yeah, I don't know, I find that pretty interesting personally. But then also you gotta bear in mind that kind of, in a way, that applies to how all these kind of like, so for instance, think about a live stream, for instance. There's a certain number of people watching, and those people are always important, and all that sort of stuff. But then the small number of people who are chatting and like being important, they're the ones who are like, yeah, that's awesome. And then the small number of people who sponsor, that's awesome too. And then the small number of people who are moderators. Whenever you have a group that's like too large in some way, you kind of lose the personal connection to every member of that group. And that's why when you get these huge countries, you end up with a situation where they can't really like, you know, you can barely treat, okay, so even America I think is the most, I hope I'm not using the word wrong here, but like homogenous, I hope I got that word right, but it's been a while since I've, used that in a sentence, but it's the most like, you can call someone American whether they live in like Florida or Alaska, but the truth is like there's a huge difference between them, and that's like the closest you have to a country where everyone's kind of similar. They all speak the same language, and oh god, all these other things, same basic ideas. But in most countries that are really, really big or really, really populated, so India or China or Russia, it's like, you know what, keeping that thing together, keeping all of those billion people in some cases, like trying to even describe them with the same words is almost impossible. Like, and that's why you get these really interesting situations where if you go to like a small country, you'll find that like sometimes they'll have like a really cool like leader. Whereas if you go to a big country, it's always like, well, I mean, they had to find someone who was just a compromise for 300 million or for 1 billion or something. And I know, it's really interesting, the fact that you can't describe too many people with the same word. It just doesn't work. And it's something that you don't necessarily always think about, or at least I don't always think about. And also the crane looks pretty good, all things considered. Like, I like it so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to use, do I have half slabs? I can make half slabs. And then we're going to make like some ladders going down there for it to fish, because that's what I see on our rooks. But for now, let's just put an extra block around here. Make this a little bit wider, because, again, it shouldn't look like the crane is just at the edge of the ocean. But yeah, so there you go. There's a little thing. Limiting your choice in some ways is a good thing. Maybe that's what marriage is, actually, you know what? Boom, there we go. Just discovered entire origin of marriage. So you're like, oh yeah, so the reason you do that is because then you're going to be like, well, this one person is now going to be maybe your best friend, maybe whatever forever. And that's going to be a scary thing. That's going to be the scariest thing. But like, for some reason, all humans decide to do it at some point. And yeah, I know, just random thoughts I've been thinking about. No proper meaning to any of them. And now you know about them too. So I'm actually going to have a crafting table. Oh, there is a crafting table. We're going to make some half slabs. And I'm going to try and make the top of that crane look a bit better. Because there's, like, I think the ladder's pretty good. I think the basic idea is pretty good. But it needs more detail. So we're going to have, like, some half slabs somewhere. And that's going to make things better. That's the hope anyway. Who knows? Who knows how these things actually go? So 12 half slabs, that's probably enough. And then we'll, like, put them around there. Yeah, if we have them around like that. This wasn't what I was going for, actually. But it works on all the sides but the front side. And there we go. And now we have to go to the top of that, which is going to be tricky. Easier said than done. And we'll... Oh, man. See, using fireworks for such a short flight is really silly. But it's kind of fun in its own little way. So just hit it like that. For some reason, there's no elytra damage. Maybe I have feather falling. I don't. Okay, I just don't take elytra damage. But yeah, on the new version, I always take so much... Man, I ran out of stairs and I didn't realize it. So... Guess we're making a crafting table up here, and then we'll have to remember to get rid of that. Okay, then we'll make a few more stairs. Just 4 more should be good, honestly. I think we just want to go a little bit higher before we do this. In fact, actually, what I want to do is I want to have this end in, like, a consistent way. So I think, like, that is probably a good way to end it. Yeah, like, on that. And then we'll have, like, a fence go down from there. Which, again, can be really tricky, absurdly tricky, in fact, to do. But if we just have, like, a block of... You know, this is intense building. No more talking about cities and how country people love each other. Just talking about... Oh no, I'm still too high up, so we have to remove those. They'll probably fly into the ocean. I'll get them later. We can deal with that when that happens. So we'll replace this with those. We'll go even lower down than this, like down there, I guess. And then from here, we should be able to finally achieve that dream of... We place, like, ladders down there. Actually, you know, I want to have, like, 2 ladders. Come out from the side. And then, like, link up. Oh, no, you know, we'll just have, like, a double ladder. No, it has to be 2 ladders. No, double ladder will do. Double ladder will do. So we'll go like this. And this can be, like, a fishing rod of some form. So this needs to be bigger, but I can't do that from here. I could jump down and just hope that I do it enough in time. But I've learned my lesson from that. I have done many, many questionable things, and I'm not going to add to that list today. So we'll take away the crafting table. And I guess we'll call that as good as we've got for our little crane today. So, yeah, there's our crane. I kind of like it. That's kind of a bit weird, but it looks as good as we're going to get, I think. If we had smooth stone stairs, like we well might, I'll replace this with those then. And also, oh, because we're getting new aquarium stuff, I can use this in some way. I don't know how I can use this, but in the 1.14 update next year, I'm going to use this in some amazing way. So this oil rig is actually going to be useful. But yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed learning about how I went to Skid Row without realizing it until much later. I just assumed there were that many homeless people. I hope you all enjoyed. I don't really think I had any points with the whole, like, oh yeah, well, choices are a thing. It just makes you realize that, like, some days, just decide, I'm going to try and limit your own choices in terms of, like, again, watch all movies from a certain director. Try and watch, what I try to do is I actually only, like, even if I want to watch a good movie, I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to search best movies of 2016, because, you know, you want to get them for free, so you're a year back, and then you're just like, I'm going to watch only the top 10, or, like, I'm going to watch only something from the top 10, and then having, like, less choices to choose from. It's actually, wait, you know, okay, before we go, it's a well-known, like, phenomenon, like choice paralysis. If you give yourself too many choices, it's too hard to decide. So if you go into the cereal aisle and there's a billion cereals, you're like, which one do I get? Or you go shopping and there's like 1,000 choices for clothes. It's terrible. But you go shopping, you see a little rack that has just like 3 pairs of jeans. You pick the nicest pair of jeans, you walk out there. Or at least that's what I do. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed it, because I'm going to see you all next time. Have a nice day, everybody. Goodbye.